The moment the lawyer slid the envelope across the polished oak table, the room exploded. My cousins lunged for the velvet jewelry boxes like they had been waiting their whole lives for this exact second, fingers clawing at gold chains and pearl earrings that had once belonged to Grandma Eleanor. Aunt Lydia actually hissed at Uncle Mark when he reached for the sapphire brooch. I sat there in my black dress, the only granddaughter who had shown up with short hair and no husband, and waited for my name. When it came, the lawyer cleared his throat twice. To Ava Thompson, one iron key, engraved with the letter E. That was it. No diamonds, no antique watch, just a rust-flecked key on a faded red ribbon and a small card in Grandma's spidery handwriting. For the one who understands secrets. My mother's lips pressed into a thin line. My brother Ryan smirked like he had won the lottery. I felt every eye in the room shift to me. The lesbian granddaughter. The family embarrassment who had brought Ella to Thanksgiving 3 years ago and never been invited back. I slipped the key into my pocket before anyone could protest, the metal still warm from the lawyer's hand. Later that afternoon, while the others divided the silverware like battlefield spoils, I walked alone to the back of Grandma's Victorian house on Maple Street in suburban Columbus, Ohio. The key fit the narrow door behind the pantry that we had always been told led to a broom closet. It didn't. It opened onto a narrow staircase descending into a room no one in the family had ever mentioned. Dust floated in the single shaft of light from a high window. Shelves lined the walls packed with leather-bound journals, bundles of yellowed letters tied with ribbon, and black and white photographs of 2 young women laughing on the banks of the Scioto River. One of them was unmistakably Grandma Eleanor at 22, her arm around another girl whose face I had never seen. I picked up the first letter, dated 1957. The handwriting matched the card I had just received. "My dearest Rose," it began. "Today I told my mother I would marry Thomas, but my heart still belongs to you. Forgive me." My knees gave out. I sat on the cold concrete floor and read until the light faded, each sentence pulling me deeper into a past I never knew existed. That night, back in my apartment downtown, the flashback started. 10 years earlier, freshman year at Ohio State, Ella had walked into my dorm room carrying a box of vinyl records, and a smile that lit up the whole hallway. We were inseparable within weeks. Study sessions that turned into late-night talks, then kisses that tasted like freedom. I had never felt so seen. But then Mom found out. The phone calls, the threats to cut me off, the Sunday sermons about choosing the right path. I caved. I told Ella I was confused, that it was just a phase, that I needed space. The look on her face when I said those words still haunted me. She transferred to a college in California 2 months later. I hadn't spoken to her since. Now, holding Grandma's letters, I realized the same fear that had broken me had also broken her. The guilt hit like a wave. I had repeated history without even knowing it existed. The next morning my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Mom wanted to know why I had stolen the key. Ryan texted a screenshot of the will clause, circling the words "one iron key" in red. I ignored them all and drove back to the house before the real estate agent arrived to stage it for sale. Inside the secret room I found more. A stack of unsent letters Grandma had written to Rose over 40 years, each one dated on the anniversary of the day they were forced apart. In one, dated 1963, she wrote about giving birth to my mother and feeling nothing but emptiness because the woman she loved was gone. I read until my eyes burned. Between the lines I saw my own life reflected. The same pressure, the same silence, the same quiet surrender. Grandma had never told anyone. She had played the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect grandmother, while her heart stayed locked in this room. And she had left the key to me, the only one who might understand. I was still sitting there when the door at the top of the stairs creaked open. Mom's voice cut through the dust. "Ava, what on earth are you doing down here?" She descended the steps, her heels clicking like accusations. When her eyes landed on the open letters, her face drained of color. "Those are private," she whispered. "Burn them." I stood up slowly. She left them to me. She wanted me to know. Mom's laugh was bitter. "Your grandmother was a confused old woman who wrote nonsense after too much sherry. This doesn't change anything." But it did. Because for the first time I saw the fear in her eyes, the same fear she had drilled into me. That afternoon I drove 2 hours to the storage unit, where I kept the box I had never been able to throw away. Inside were Ella's old letters, the mixtape she made me, the photograph of us at the lake the summer before everything fell apart. I sat on the concrete floor again and cried until my ribs hurt. By evening the family group chat was on fire. Aunt Lydia had found out about the room from Mom, and was demanding I hand over anything valuable. Ryan sent a meme of me labeled, "The Lesbian Heir." I turned my phone off and opened another of Grandma's journals. The entry from 1978 read, "Ava was born today. I held her and prayed she would be braver than me. My name." She had written my name decades before I existed. The following Saturday the entire family gathered at the house for the official reading of personal items. I brought the letters in a cardboard box. When I set it on the dining table, silence fell like a guillotine. Mom refused to look at me. Uncle Mark tried to grab the box. I pulled it back. "Grandma left these to me. You all got the jewelry. I get the truth." Ryan snorted. "Truth? You mean your little gay phase?" I opened the first letter and read aloud the line about Rose. Aunt Lydia gasped. Mom's hands trembled so hard her coffee spilled. For 10 minutes no one spoke. Then the shouting started. "This is slander. She was sick. You're just trying to make yourself feel better about your lifestyle." I let them scream. When they finally ran out of breath I said quietly, "She lived her whole life hiding. I did the same thing 10 years ago. I'm not doing it anymore." I told them about Ella. I told them how I had let Mom's voice drown out my own heart. I told them Grandma had known somehow and had waited until she was gone to give me permission to stop hiding. The room emptied fast after that. Only Mom stayed, staring at the photograph of Grandma and Rose. "She never told me," she whispered. "I thought I was protecting you from the same pain." "You were protecting yourself," I answered. The words hurt us both. That night I searched online for Ella Ramirez. She was still in California, now a graphic designer with her own studio. Her Instagram showed a woman who looked happy, sun-kissed, laughing with friends, no ring on her finger. I typed a message and deleted it 17 times before I finally hit send. "I found something that belongs to both of us. Can we talk?" Ella's reply came at 2:17 a.m. "Ava. Just my name." I called her before I could lose my nerve. Her voice was the same low, steady, the one that used to calm every storm inside me. We talked for 3 hours. I told her about the room, the letters, the funeral. She listened without interrupting. When I finally said, "I was wrong. I was scared. I'm so sorry," the line went quiet for so long I thought she had hung up. "I spent years wondering what I did wrong," she said at last. "I can't just open that door again, Ava. Not without knowing you won't slam it shut the second your family snaps their fingers." She was right. I had no defense. We agreed to meet in person, Neutral Ground, Chicago, 2 weeks later. In the meantime I went back to the secret room every day, transcribing Grandma's letters, scanning the photos, trying to piece together the woman I thought I knew. I found a final entry dated 3 months before her death. "If Ava ever reads this, tell her the bravest thing she can do is choose herself. I never did. Don't make my mistake." The confrontations at home grew uglier. Mom stopped answering my calls. Ryan posted a vague Facebook rant about family betrayal. The small Lutheran church Grandma had attended for 60 years started whispering. I heard from a cousin that the pastor had used my name in a sermon about modern temptations. The community that had once baked me cookies now crossed the street when they saw me coming. Yet every night I read another letter and felt Grandma standing beside me, her hand on my shoulder. For the first time in 10 years I didn't feel alone. Chicago in October smelled like lake water and possibility. I waited on the Navy Pier bench we had claimed as ours a decade earlier. When Ella walked toward me, tall, confident, hair longer now, I forgot how to breathe. She stopped 3 feet away, arms crossed like armor. We walked the pier without touching. I gave her copies of the letters. She read them in silence while the wind tugged at the pages. When she reached the last one, tears slid down her cheeks. "She loved the same way we did," she whispered. I told her everything. Mom's pressure, my cowardice, the guilt that had lived in my chest like a second heartbeat. Ella listened, then said the hardest sentence I had ever heard. "I forgive you, Ava, but I don't trust you yet." We spent the weekend talking. Not fixing, just talking. She showed me pictures of her life in California, the studio, the rescue dog, the friends who had become family. I showed her the journal entries where Grandma had written my name like a prayer. By Sunday night we stood at the airport gate and she let me hug her. It wasn't the embrace from the photograph, but it was real. Back in Ohio, the storm hit full force. Mom showed up at my apartment with a box of my childhood things. If you keep digging up the past, you're no longer welcome at family gatherings. I looked at her and saw the same fear Grandma had carried. Then I guess I'm not coming, I said. The door closed softly behind her. 6 months later, the house on Maple Street sold. I kept the secret room contents. I published a small book of Grandma's letters, anonymous at first, then with my name attached when the local paper ran a feature. The reaction split the town. Some called it bravery, others sin. Mom still wouldn't speak to me, but Ryan sent a single text. I read it. I'm sorry. Small steps. Ella flew in for the book launch. We stood side by side at the independent bookstore downtown while strangers asked questions about love and courage. After the signing, we walked to the river where Grandma and Rose had once sat. Under the same bridge, I took Ella's hand. This time she didn't pull away. I'm not the girl who ran anymore, I told her. I know, she said. But we take it slow. No more hiding. Grandma's final letter sits framed on my desk now. The last line reads, "The key was never about the room. It was about opening the heart you locked away. I open it every morning and remember. True or false? Denying your true love to please your family is never justified, no matter the consequences."